Hey, have you ever wanted to just leave and pack up and leave and go away and hide?
No.
Or maybe just go on vacation?
Yes.
Okay. Well, listen, if you have your tea times booked...
Hey.
If you have your tea times booked somewhere else, don't pay roaming fees.
No.
Download Saily. It's an eSIM, and basically it's available in 160 countries, 8 regions around the world. You download this eSIM or you go to the website, saily.com/dangle, and basically now you've got not only Wi-Fi that is secure and protected and backed by Nord Security, so you're not worried about your information leaking out into the internet, as everybody's information tends to do these days, but also you don't have to worry about roaming fees. There's nothing worse than going on vacation and coming back and going, I'm paying what for roaming fees?
And you don't have to worry about booking this trip because they're coming back. You can book it in July. It's fine. Book it for July.
Remember, if you have any issues too, 24/7 support, chat support that is, compatible with all iOS and Android devices. And if you need a refund, you can get one. All eSIM devices are fully refundable, which is pretty cool. So go to saily.com/dangle. Get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily data plans. Use that code DANGLE at checkout. Download the Saily app or go to saily.com/dangle.
The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Oh, hey, man. Listen, there's like at least another game here. I wouldn't want to overdo it today, Jesse. I wouldn't want to overdo it today because there is one more game.
At least
one more game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to overdo this. Steve, you're off camera. It's not working.
I am?
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah, Maddie, you need to switch to 3.
I thought I was on.
No, you were off. You were on a little
thought I
bit,
was
but yeah,
on.
no. You got to be right. Let's see your camera. You got to be right in that window.
I don't know.
So
What does it matter?
So there's at least one more game. You know.
You're at least one more game.
Chris Tanev said he took responsibility for it last night. Austin Matthews said we all need to look in the mirror. And Mitch Marner said we need to flush down the toilet. Jesse Blake, the only thing I need to know that I've been dying to ask you, but that I haven't, is tell me about the mood down there. Tell me about how the guys delivered those quotes, because
what was it like?
Context actually does matter. I'm not being sarcastic here. How did it feel to you?
They were disappointed in the effort. I think they were confused at themselves. Matthews was a little more misty-eyed and disappointed than I think the other guys. Chris Tanev was a little more steady, and Mitch Marner was kind of what we've seen a million times.
So
solid in the playoffs.
Like nonchalant?
No, not nonchalant at all. I think he's disappointed himself, and he's trying to move forward. Like his ethos on how to get ready for the next one after there's a disappointment like this is always, you can't dwell on it and you have to move forward. That's how he copes with these kinds of things, and that's how he's trying to move forward. So that was his kind of response in the media. And Matthews was more solemn in that he was surprised and shocked and disappointed, I think, in the team and his own effort. And then Chris Tanev was taking a lot of the blame and talking about how we need to get better along with the same lines as Mitch Marner's. And then William Nylander was I think what you kind of expect out of Willie, and that's, he was angry at the performance and disappointed, I think, as well. So there you go.
As a member of the Noise, what personal responsibility do you take for Game 5?
I think my presence in there is a little too intimidating for the guy.
Is that right, Jesse?
I think
is
they
it 'cause
look
you
at
can
me
sit
and
eye
they
level
say,
with them?
there's an angry man, and he's keeping this team down.
You know, hey, name the angry members of the press corps that hang out with Jesse. Let's just go through some of these angry, bitter names that are so mean.
Mark Masters.
Ah, man,
The noise thing I think applied to last night.
Okay.
They didn't use that excuse at all. Like, they didn't talk about the media. Like,
well, before
once.
the game, Berube did.
Yes, Berube did before the game, but afterwards, after that performance, like, it wasn't something they spoke about at all. It wasn't anything.
Good, because they friggin' shouldn't. I keep thinking back to this transformational event that happened this season, this literally once in a lifetime. We're probably never going to see this event again in the Four Nation Face-Off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think back to the participation in that event by Mitch Marner and by Austin Matthews.
Willie was there too.
Willie was there, but he wasn't part of that thing. Whatever that thing was that Canada and the US had, it was undoubtedly a thing. And Finland wasn't a part of that thing, and Sweden wasn't a part of that thing. Canada and the USA were part of that thing. And I can't help but be dismayed at the shock in the Leafs, in particular Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Matthews, who played with Matthew Tkachuk. Marner, who played with Brad Marchand. They played in the most intense hockey environment I think I've ever seen. Ever. That final was the pinnacle of hockey. That was a lot of people's first hockey game, and it might ruin them as fans forever. You'll never experience something better. The pace, the intensity, the pure hatred, skill level, and minding their P's and Q's. And Matthews could have been the hero 3 times over, and Marner ends up assisting on the tournament winner to add to his overtime winner. And a lot of us allowed ourselves to dream, the silliest and softest of dreams, that maybe they learned something from this and maybe they're different. And they are an even worse version of themselves than we've seen in the past.
Is that because they have a better supporting cast, better defense, better goaltending?
I'm tired of trying to answer that question. And it's a good question.
My point is that does it make it look worse now that they're so much better in those other areas?
Oh, yeah.
In previous years,
God, yeah.
Previous years, it's like, well, they had thin defense or, their goaltender was bad. They were also bad, but I wouldn't put it fully on them.
Well, and the Leafs are 0-9 or 0-10, whatever it is, with Wes McCauley officiating a playoff game. Kelly Sutherland last night was officiating. They went undefeated with him in the regular season, but they're now 0-8 under him in the playoffs. What if you just suck? So now there's 2 guys who you have this monumental, what are the odds you don't even win one game? What if you just stink ass? What if you are terrible? What if you can't do this? What if you should pack up and find something different? What if you should get a contract in frig off Chicago or frig off Columbus or frig off Anaheim or where else? I don't know. Maybe you can request a trade. Maybe you can, I don't know what it is. They can't do it here. We've known they can't do it here. And I'm eulogizing them, and I'm really trying not to. And I'm going to have to remind myself many times throughout the show not to eulogize them, because they are still capable of tying the series, and they are still capable of winning it. But I'm basing that on a complete hope and a prayer. I am completely pulling that hope out of thin air, because they've shown nothing in games 4 or 5 to show that they can do it.
Jesse, one of the things Craig Berube said last night was that he said Florida came out as hard as they ever have. Sorry, I said that wrong. They came out like Florida. They were what the Leafs expected.
Yeah.
And that this time the Leafs just didn't respond.
Yeah, Paul Maurice talks about it a lot, in that when you get deep in this playoffs and when good teams play, it's not any surprise in how they are going to play. Teams play certain systems, and they play systems for 82 games-ish for the season. They change things in the regular season. Then we get to the playoffs, they know their game, and they just go out there and they play their game. And it's about who plays their game the best is essentially how playoff hockey works. And I thought Paul Maurice talking about that, it was after game 1 or something like that. He was really insightful to do that. And Craig Berube kind of preached the same thing after that loss. And he's like, yeah, Florida played their game. It's a very simple game. They do a lot of forechecking.
It really isn't complicated.
They go get the puck, and then they do things after they dump and chase. And they played a very simple game. And he lamented the fact that they knew what was coming, and the Leafs started so flat and so soft, and there was nothing they did to combat the thing they expected and they knew was coming. So that was that quote.
The Leafs deserve the criticism here, but I really do want to be, one of the people to try to get ahead and say kudos to the Florida Panthers, the most unbelievable motor, top to bottom of any team in the NHL, I think. They don't get tired. There were some forechecks in the third period where I'm like, it's insane you're still trying this hard. And it's insane you're still able to do it. Like,
well, and they forced the Leafs, who have had the disease of breaking out slowly for a decade now, to make mistakes in their own end. It holds them in their own end. And it leads to, spinorama backhand passes. Now, we can get to that in a second.
The one I thought was the best example of Florida Panthers hockey and the way the Toronto Maple Leafs were playing was in the first period when the Leafs had a power play opportunity.
Yep.
John Tavares was on the far side to me, and he lost a board battle against the wall. And the Florida Panthers sent the puck out, or they were battling. He loses it. The puck's kind of in the feet there. Austin Matthews comes over to get the puck, and he sends the puck to the middle of the ice, and that led to a breakaway.
That drove me insane
for the Florida Panthers. I thought it was perfect Florida Panthers hockey because all it was is they won a board battle on the power play, and the Leafs got help on that. But Austin, because of how he's been playing this entire series, and because he doesn't know how to rise to the moment, and he's not that player, he blindly threw a pass to the middle of the ice during the power play again, and he's done that before. And we saw it last game lead to, or 2 games ago, lead to a goal, and then it led to a Florida Panthers power play, and that was kind of what they did all game long. They just won the little board battles. Either they got the puck or the Leafs made a mistake out of them.
And this is something that Jesse was like very prescient on our pre-show, which is just supposed to be a good time. But Jesse said about Austin Matthews, he has yet to have a playoff moment. I'm waiting tonight. You remember you said that?
Yeah.
You said he's yet to have. He scored the goal that won the series. He had a couple of goals that got them over the hump. And
he had one. No one was in the building.
Oh,
the OT winner against Columbus that no one remembers or cares about.
What happened?
They lost.
They lost the series.
Yeah,
no, it's not even a moment.
He has yet to even really take over a series.
No,
and you look at this is the thing. Like I was
he had
willing
one truly really good series. He had 5 goals in the 7-game series against the Bruins in 2019. Only Leaf to show up.
Yeah. Well, and I look at Austin, and the first few games of the series, I was willing to give him a pass because the Barkov line was neutralized. So I'm like, okay, well, if they're canceling each other out, all right.
Yeah, they put a 4th liner up on the top line, and he ate their lunch.
And so after the first period, I think, and I want to dive into why this is such a legacy game for these guys. Obviously, we come out of the first period, and producer Drew was saying it behind the scenes. He's like, hey, listen, it's only 1 goal. But here's the thing: as Leaf fans, and we have a full audience here today. Hi, everybody. They're all waving. You can woo because people can't see you on camera. Yeah. Their voices are shot.
Yeah, not a lot of high registers.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's probably just from anger. When they were up 1-0, it felt like a mountain already.
Well, they had the same shot deficit that they had from the previous game without the giving up 4 power plays. So you're like, where's the excuse? You're at home. You have every advantage. It's even strength. Why do you suck? And what was weird is, and like you guys can back me up or whatever, first 6-7 minutes, I thought they looked pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
They had more of the puck.
I agree.
I was like, here we go. This is why I had faith in them. This is why I gave them the benefit of the doubt. This is the team that we've been watching all playoffs. They, with like 53 minutes left in the game, disappeared entirely. Florida took the game and they never let it go.
It was a lot of low quality opportunities early. I know the shot counter ended up like 11-2 or something at some point in the first period.
Yeah.
So they did not end up on the right side of things by the end of that first period. And I thought it was like an okay start. It wasn't great, but eventually from 55 minutes after.
But they're chasing.
Yeah.
They're chasing. And if you had to put a bet on who spent more energy in the first period, probably be the Leafs. Just chasing, and never really close to catching them.
In the second and at the beginning of the third, I see 4 names, each of them with a 1 beside it. And these are all players that scored their first goal of these playoffs.
Oh.
Sometimes, in some cases, these are first goals of their playoff careers. Kulikov, 1. Boquist, 1. Mikkola, 1. AJ Greer, 1. Now, if I told you that those guys all scored throughout the series before it started, right? You'd probably be like, okay, well, I guess they got some depth scoring or whatever. But if they all score in one game, it's none of the stars. I know Bennett scored later, but the game was over.
All of them have more second round goals in their careers based on just last night than Austin Matthews.
Yep.
It's not good enough.
There was a comment on one of James Myrtle's articles
Maddie.
It's okay. I got it. Okay. I got the comment on one of James Myrtle's articles like last night, and I wanted to read it to you. It's just a person, just a guy. His name's Peter, and he said, if you told me at the beginning of OT of Game 3 that Florida would score the next 9 goals, I wouldn't have believed you. Then I would have remembered I was a Leaf fan, and I would have believed you. They scored the next 9 goals when we entered overtime.
Someone said, like, a team who goes up 2-0 in the series wins 80% of the time. Like, I don't care about Leaf-based stats. Mm-hmm. They don't apply to them. Stop it. Stop treating them like they're normal. This is what we've been trying to do all playoffs. We're just trying to treat them like any other team. And they won't let us. Mm-hmm. They won't friggin' let us. We're trying to treat them like they're normal. We're trying to treat them like the usual rules apply, and they're chokers. Like, what do you want? What do you want? What am I supposed to say? There are still... The Toronto Maple Leafs do not deserve their fans, even kind of. There are still people this morning defending Marner. There's still people this morning defending Matthews. There's still people this morning going, come on, guys, why the long face? What? These people... should all go to heaven first ballot. These people, they should be on the same level as like golden retrievers and stuff. Like just first ballot, they should get whatever they want the second they get to the pearly gates. These should be the type of people you look for in your dating life. Like just
relentlessly positive,
relentlessly loyal. I cannot believe they still exist. I cannot believe you haven't been broken down. The Leafs don't deserve you. And worst of all, you don't deserve them.
So this morning, Brendan Carlo said, I have the utmost faith that these guys are ready to take the next step.
What did I say? It took a while to rear its head, but there it is. Someone finally talking to Brendan Carlo about the obvious. Hey, so like you beat these losers. What do you think? And he's like, no, they can do it. Well, we'll see. I would love for next game to be the Brandon Carlo game. Mm-hmm. They force 7 and it still has nothing to do with the core guys at all. It's just the new guy showing up and taking over.
Craig Berube said this morning, a loss is a loss. If it would have been 2-1 and it was close game, would it have really mattered today we got beat? And I say it would have. I say Craig is new here.
That is the way you need to look at it.
Yeah.
But I think it matters. Because the way I see it, guys, when these guys lose in big games, they don't lose like Vegas lost last night. You guys stayed up and watched that game, right? Mm-hmm. Vegas pushed Edmonton to overtime, 0-0, and it was like 10 minutes in overtime, and then finally Edmonton scores, right? And it's like Kasperi Kapanen, he's been scratched most of the playoffs. It's like 40 rebounds, puck goes in, okay?
Yeah.
When the Leafs lose, they lose like losers. When the Leafs lose, they lose like I didn't feel like it tonight. And that is...
No, what was me? Their body language is terrible.
Well, that's that you did mention that on the stream. Like, you can tell immediately, and obviously it's because you know the guys pretty well after watching them for so long, but it is abundantly obvious when they're frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
And I do want to talk about that Mitch Marner play, because even like Sean Avery was on him about it. Everybody was on him about it. And it was because it is a regular season play.
Well, someone said, like, Austin Matthews could have had that. Real life does not have the physics of a video game. You can't just pass the puck in the general direction of a player and it sticks to them. What are you talking about? It's a blind backhand pass from your own zone. It gets intercepted and then you're lame on the back check.
Yep.
What are you doing? What do you do? And that was when the game was over and the team decided it. It's 3-0. It's too much of a mountain to climb. Body language, and then Domi takes that penalty. They packed it up. And Jesse, is that roughly when everyone started to boo?
Yeah, around that, because they got booed into the second intermission.
They got booed for half the game.
And that goal happened 10 minutes into the second. Everybody knew kind of the game was over after that first period, and they were just dominating. And then they come out in the second, and they're so flat. And then that goal happens, and it was over. It was over when it was 3-0. I'm
just laughing. I looked down at my phone. I shouldn't have, but sometimes I check the time to see how long we're doing with certain segments. And I see a text from a number I haven't texted in a while, and it's George Strombolopoulos, and he just goes, sending love today. During the game, I got a text from Terry Ryan, and the arse is falling right out of her. And Ken Reed is like, just hugs, buddy, just hugs. Like, people reach out to me like a family member died every spring.
Yeah.
And this doesn't happen to people who cheer for normal teams, I don't think.
I don't think so.
Can you guys reach out and like Caps fans or like Wild fans or who else we got? Oilers?
Because they lose normally. They don't lose like losers.
Oilers are not normal. They're weird.
They're weird, but they lose. Weird. But when they lose sort of normal.
Yes.
It's like, hey, they put in a good effort.
Somewhat my favorite stat today is Stuart Skinner has an .884 save percentage in these playoffs and 2 shutouts in 5 games.
2 shutouts in a row.
Just wild. There's like anti-Matthews, anti-Marner. Gets better and better as the series goes. It's completely unbelievable. But the reaction you saw last night, and Jesse, please back me up on this. It wasn't just that the fans started to boo after it was 3-0. Am I wrong in saying they were booing the first line in particular? It seemed like almost every time they got on the ice.
No, it just happened. They were out there for a lot. Like, because he was rolling them because they were down. So whoever.
And not a lot of good happened while they were out there?
Picking like on Matthews and Marner in particular to boo. They were booing anybody who was out there.
Got it.
Yeah.
And they were out there a lot.
They were out there and they were making a lot of mistakes and it was ugly and they got booed.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, so they earned it.
Yes,
it wasn't on principle,
100%
they earned it.
I don't know. If you wanted to have the Mitch Marner conversation, we can do that.
I want to have the Mitch and Austin. And I think Jesse, I don't know where you want to start with this, but I do want to start with that play. Do you have that?
No, it's on the screen there.
Yeah.
I think they're 2 separate conversations because one's leaving, and then the other one we got to sit with.
Yep.
I assume.
Yep.
But yeah, the Mitch Marner play. It's like you said, it's a regular season play, but Steve, you talked about the body language. He stood there at the back of the net watching his play at the screen in disbelief that he did that. I don't know if you caught it on the...
You feel bad. Go to the bench. We get it.
I don't know if it came through on the broadcast, but like he stood by the back of the net, staring at the video screen until they played that full replay for like a good solid 30 seconds before he made his way to the bench. And that body language that he has in these moments, it's so apparent that he doesn't have it for these moments.
Why did he refuse a trade out of this place?
Right.
It's poison for him.
And I think that's a large reason why he won't be back. I think he very much does not want to play here. And based on his play, it's not a good place for him to be playing.
He's had multiple chances to leave.
Yeah. And the reason I'm so surprised at what happened last night is because they showed many things that they were over this. Yeah. They showed over the course of the regular season and winning the division and playing different style of hockey under Craig Berube that they wouldn't have these types of efforts. And I truly thought they were over these kinds of efforts.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
So that's why it's so shocking. I thought they'd lose the series. I picked the Florida Panthers to win in 7.
So did I.
But I didn't think they would have collapses like this where it's an embarrassing effort and we would all be saying these same things again. And then they did it and you realize that no matter what, it's the 2 guys at the top. It's because the rest of the team, I think Brad Treliving has done a good job building out the lineup around these 2 individuals. Like, because I think it's time to single out Marner and Matthews, but because those 2 guys are the most important members of the team in the first line, they play together and they must play together no matter what, that if they don't have it, nothing else matters, and they will never have it.
It's the mix. It's the mix. It's the mix. We've talked about this how many times? Well, if the top guys don't have it, no, they're dead. Conversation is over. We're waiting for Scott Laughton to take over a game. We're waiting for Steven Lorentz to take over again. What are we doing?
And I don't even think it's the mix in terms of like the core four. I think it's the two guys. Like I think it's Matthews and Marner, and then the rest trickles down from there because of how important they are.
The question has to be asked. The question has to be asked. And I know the answer for Mitch, so I don't even know if I need to ask that question. Does Austin Matthews, highest paid player in the league, have the ability to take over a playoff game when it matters?
No.
Does he have the ability to take over a playoff series?
No.
He's
when
never
has he shown it?
Well,
and
exactly.
he's had enough chances to display that, and I don't think where he's at right now in his career that you can believe that he has it in him.
Right.
And I question everything from Matthews now on downwards, and like, should he have gotten the captaincy? If you're expecting your captain to be this type of player who can take over playoff games, score big goals, and he's not that guy, then there needs to be questions about why they gave him this captaincy.
And
remember,
let me put this in the context.
Sure.
To give you an idea, okay? Mikko Rantanen in these playoffs has 9 goals in 11 games, 19 points, okay? In their last 48 games in the playoffs.
48?
48, dating back to 2019, 2020. Okay? In their last 48 games, Mitch Marner has, I'm just pulling it up on my notes here, 8 goals.
Man, he gets a lot of assists.
Matthews,
a lot is
48 games, Steve.
48.
Matthews is 15. So at a certain point, it is exactly what you guys said it is. Here's what I believe. I believe Mitch Marner has spent millions of dollars in the last couple of games. Mm-hmm. I believe that Mitch Marner will go and get a contract. It will not be anywhere close to what he's asking for. Yeah. But if you're a team and you give this guy more than what Mikko Rantanen got, and I know Texas is a tax-free state, I got you. Okay, you give him 13. Just expect that this is going to be how it is, because it's how it's always been.
Adam, people dying of thirst in the desert will drink their own piss. So, like, I'm sure Chicago will.
Someone's going to give it to him.
Like, someone. Maybe that wasn't the nicest analogy, but there are some terrible teams out there who are like, damn, having a guy who struggles in the playoffs sounds like a hell of a luxury. Let's go. Welcome to the Blackhawks. Welcome to the Ducks. Welcome to the Sharks.
And, does it come down to the mix? Well, you look at Mikko Rantanen, and basically the two places he's been a monster.
Remember when I got crap for saying Matthews and McKinnon when they go head-to-head? It's McKinnon and it's not close. They're not in the same galaxy. They're not. And I badly wish they were. I know what the regular season numbers say. I know he has 2 60-goal seasons. We saw it with our own eyes. We saw it. I swear to God I was there. I swear to God it happened. I saw it. But when push comes to shove in these big games, they're not even sort of close. They're not. Marner's a very, very good player. Matthews is a very, very good player. We're watching guys like Mikko Rantanen still, McDavid, and
where does Mikko Rantanen score all his goals?
He goes to the net, Adam. He goes to the friggin' net. He scored a goal not even standing up.
He could have had 3 against the Jets the other night, and it ended up being Granlund that got 3. But he had brilliant tips out of the air, and I'm using Mikko Rantanen as a backdrop to this. I could pick a year. I can use someone different.
Yeah.
But I'm using Mikko Rantanen because he's the guy who's the best right now.
Yeah.
And he's been the guy that's been consistently the best. His teams just haven't gotten deep. Jesse and Steve, if I am looking at this from a fiduciary responsibility, like spending money.
Good word.
How can a general manager here go to the board after playoffs like these and say we need to re-sign Mitch Marner? I don't think that
the Leafs?
Yeah, I don't think that the board could.
I don't think either of them want to stick around.
Yeah,
the GM, the Bradshire Living doesn't want Mitch Marner back, and Mitch Marner doesn't want to be in Toronto. I don't even think it's a conversation at this point between anybody.
Like that was basically it, right?
He refused to negotiate with the team. They wanted to negotiate back in the midseason. They I think it was 3 times during the season they approached him to talk about the contracts, and every single time he said no. And then they approached him about a trade, and he said no about that. And then he has this type of playoff performance. Neither of them want to be together. They're divorced now, and it's over. So I don't even think that's something you have to approach the board with.
I'd delete his agent's number from my phone.
Yeah.
Well, there's other players.
And he represents Sam Bennett. Like, no, I'm over the Darren Ferris thing. You take your circus somewhere else. No, thank you. If there was a Marner contract offered at some point, it's in a fireplace somewhere in the building
they
behind
took it
us.
back.
Yeah, I don't. It's a good question, Adam. I don't think it's even a conversation. No sadistic sadists would put themselves through this again. You've got to be kidding me. There's no way.
In the end, it's the best for everybody because going up against Florida is a blessing in disguise because we got to see finally, I think for the end, because I think this is the end, what the Leafs team with 9 kicks at the can is capable of.
We could be celebrating a tough win in a few weeks.
Yeah.
We could be. I swear to God, we could be.
We could,
But from this perspective, and I don't care if somebody comes back and the Leafs win the next 2 games, that they go to the East Finals and then they go to the Stanley Cup Finals, and someone just goes, "Hey, remember this?" I'll be like, "Yeah, remember how you felt too?" If they turn it around, there'll be nobody rooting them on harder, and that's what makes this worse.
To the 5% of Leaf fans that actually applies to, God bless you.
Yeah,
I wish I was you. I
and then if I could just finish that,
please. Sorry,
going up against the Florida Panthers is a blessing in disguise because you've seen the ceiling of what your 2 top players are capable of.
Yes,
they're up against a team that is better than them. They are going up against great competition. If you want to say the teams are a little close, like it's 55-45 in terms of skill or whatever, they've gone up against an opponent that is a great litmus test, and they don't have it, and they've had enough tries to display that they've had it, and this is kind of like the final boss, and they're getting eliminated. So it's over, and it's a good thing.
And I think, you know what, Jesse? What would have been a good thing is if they'd figured it out in 21, 22, 23.
Yeah.
I mean, those were the years to really do something about it, because you could have actually traded one of these guys and got some value back. And now you've got Nylander in accumulated games 5, 6, and 7. This is a Joey Ferg thing. He keeps updating this. In accumulated games 5, 6, and 7 since 2019. Nylander, 19 games, 16 points.
That's pretty good.
Matthews, 17 games, 11 points.
Not as good.
Tavares, 16 games, 10 points.
What are the goals number on Matthews?
8.
And how many games?
19.
And what games are these?
5, 6s, and 7s.
Okay.
So 18, 8 goals, 8 assists.
Mediocre.
Sorry, 19, 8 goals, 8 assists, 16 points. So that's Nylander. Matthews, 17, 7, and 4. Tavares, 16 games played, 5 and 5.
Okay.
Marner, 19 games played, 0 and 6.
Unplayable.
6 assists.
Those are unplayable numbers.
And so
it's under a third of a point a game. It's unplayable.
Well, he becomes like you're scoring at the same rate as Scott Laughton.
You're Calle Arncroke playing 22 minutes a night.
And that play, do we? I can't even think of it because I'm so out of it today. Do we have that Marner play? Can we walk through that?
Sure.
Because this is the brain fart of all brain farts.
Are we doing the NHL Edge thing? Will it show the dot doing a spin?
We can just show it here.
Does that.
Just that.
This is Mitch
backhand
spinorama, and where does it end up?
You do not need to do this.
No.
Ends up Matthews is even like, what are you doing? The Panthers, I don't know how the Panthers anticipated something this dumb would happen, but they turn it up the ice. It's an odd man rush. Marner's late backdoor for Jesper Boqvist.
I'll show you that one. Yeah.
You had like a 30, 40-foot head start on this guy.
Yeah. How does he get beat there?
And you get beat. Like, what is Joseph Woll supposed to do?
Yeah. And unfortunately, the problem with having Matthews and Marner on this team is that they have to be on the ice together. And Mitch Marner, based on the numbers you just read there, becomes a nervous shell of what we know of Mitch Marner in the regular season when the playoffs come around. So you have your best player playing with a player who basically is Scott Laughton.
Yes.
On your first line.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is what your team turns into.
Yes.
And that trickle-down effect of your first line playing like nonsense, spinny garbage trickles down to your second, third, and fourth line, and you get results like this. They can't be on the same team together anymore.
So
It's
but here's the
I
thing.
agree,
Yeah,
but
but at some point last night too, I was thinking like literally break this lineup. If Matthews and Marner are going to play this way, Matthew Nyes looks like he cares.
Yeah.
Put him next to Tavares and Nylander, who at least
they
were
did,
doing something
briefly. I honestly think you need to put them on 3 separate lines for Game 6. They've been so bad. Like the Ottawa series when they speed wobbled a bit, you're like, all right, I think they can do this though. They'll get it back together, and for the most part, they kept it together and they got it back on track and they won. And that same lineup went up 0-2. You know what's funny? The Leafs have to win 2 straight against Florida right now. That's something they did last week.
Yeah.
They can do it.
They haven't lost 4 games in a row all season.
Oh, what a great time to start!
LMAO.
What a great time to start!
LMAO. So funny. LOL. LMFAO even. Oh my God.
I gave up on that fight of not having Matthews and Marner play together because once Matthews came back from his injury, Brewer put them together, and he's played them together more than any of the head coaches in the past, more than Keith, more than Babcock. But I was banging the drum so hard, and we all were, when Matthews was out. Mitch Marner looked like a Hart Trophy candidate.
Yeah, he did.
I made
Right.
a video on my channel. I think it was like late November or like mid-December or something. I ranked the Hart Trophy candidates. It might have been like mid-season. And I had Mitch in 5th, I think, in terms of like deserving of a Hart Trophy award because of how he held up this team on his own when Matthews wasn't there. And they were the number 1 team in the East at the time, I believe, or maybe just second, just trailing Washington. But he was doing it through an individual effort and playing without Matthews. And they looked at that and they said, but they want to play together.
They're so stunningly predictable, Jesse. That's the problem.
New rule. Stats before the Winter Classic don't matter. New rule. NHL.com.
before the Olympics.
Leave the page blank next year before New Year's. New rule. But no, you're so right.
But no,
about
because
that.
it's no matter how much evidence you have that Marner is a better player with Matthews, even though you play him for a month without him and he can win a Hart Trophy without him, they still got to put them together when it matters most.
Dude, here's where I am. It's Thursday. They just lost Game 5. Game 6 is tomorrow. It's at 8. We found out last night, sick league. We're going to be back here tomorrow. I mean, no, we're not.
Saturday.
We're going to be back. You will. We're going to be back here Saturday.
No matter what.
Yeah. We're doing a Saturday segment right now.
No, I'm not done with the stats. Don't worry.
No. But the Saturday segment is they blow up the team. They can't play together.
No, because like
I agree,
the
though.
effort on Friday is going to be better because it always is.
It always is. Do we have to leave it open to the possibility they might tie it? There will be a time to generally speaking, we don't do autopsies on bodies with a pulse, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's a light pulse, but there's it's in there. Dun, dun.
And the series, but the
and
series
they
is
might
gettable.
4-6.
But isn't that why we're having this conversation?
4-7, sorry.
Isn't that why this is frustrating? Isn't that why it's insane that they came out with an effort like that? Isn't that why?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that so you see a series, you know the Panthers are gettable, you know they're not healthy. You beat them in the first 2 games. And they changed their 4th line, and all of a sudden you can't handle them?
It's crazy.
Like, Joseph Wall doesn't handle pucks as well as Anthony Stolarz, so you can't handle them?
It's a factor.
It's a factor. Steve, come on.
Yeah, I agree.
Let me give you this, okay?
Hit me.
Oilers, and you read this stat out yesterday too, but Hayden sent it to Robert.
Producer
Knight.
Hayden, just the Grim Reaper.
So in close-out games in which either team can be eliminated, McDavid, 21 games, 12 goals, 21 assists, 33 points.
What a monster.
Draisaitl, 21 games, 6 goals, now 20 assists because he got an assist on the winning goal, 26 points.
What a monster.
Matthews, still 20 goals because neither team could be eliminated last night. 20 games, 7 goals, 7 assists, 14 points.
Not good.
Marner, 21 games, 2 goals, 13 assists, 15 points.
Not good.
Nylander, 22 games, 10 goals, 11 assists.
The only adult in the room. Stop crying, bro. The only adult in the room.
So the reason we have this mini autopsy, this autopsy where we're predicting where this is going, is because we've seen it before. This is the point. This is 9 years of this. These guys don't have it. They don't have it.
No.
Unless they somehow show that they do. And even let me ask you this, guys. Okay, they win Friday.
Woo!
Amazing. Back on the bandwagon. Let's go. Passion 10 out of 10. Here's another one. They win Game 7 Sunday.
Oh my freaking God!
Do you feel any differently?
No, because they're gonna get stomped by Carolina.
No! Boo this man. I agree. Boo! Get booed, clown. What? If they make it to the Final Four? No, I will learn nothing. I will get hurt again. Let's learn nothing.
If they had won,
come on.
If they had won the game last night and then they win Friday night and they wrap the series in 6, you go, okay, well, they had a bad game in that series, and you go, okay, well, that's fine. That happens. That happened in Ottawa too. But these 2 games at home, and listen, I want to just tell you, like, it's anecdotal, but it's a story and it's worth talking about. Okay, and I told you this on the stream. Jesse met this person as well. Yesterday, we are doing our live stream, and somebody comes up right before it. And he says, hey, I'm here with my dad. And he's a really nice guy. He's a big fan of the show. He's from the Sioux. Immediately goes, we love Kyle Dubas. And I said, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Like, look at how great he's done in his life, right? Kyle Dubas. And he then goes on to talk about how he and his dad live about half an hour away from each other, but both live in the Sault Ste. Marie area.
I just Googled it. It is a 7 hour, 16-minute drive from right here.
7-hour drive.
It's over 500 kilometers.
Yeah. And he came down here, and he and his dad, like, he runs an antique shop in the Sioux. And so, like, these are not millionaires. These are hardcore fans. His dad had an original Ty Domi jersey on, and it was white, and he didn't have any ketchup stains on it, which is amazing.
Wow.
I mean, that's 25 years old. Still looks white. Doesn't look yellow.
Ty was his guy.
Ty was his guy.
Yeah.
That's
what he said.
Yeah. By the way, his name is, and when I told this story on the stream last night, I immediately got an email to my personal email from somebody saying, I couldn't remember his name. The guy's name is Shane Rock. And you know why? Do you know why? Because somebody else from the Sioux is like, I know the guy that owns the classic store.
I know Shane from Sault Ste. Marie.
I know Shane from Sault Ste. Marie, and here he is with his dad. So
I love this country.
Shane and Mr. Rock were here, and they bought tickets to the last row. They're like, we didn't want game 1 and 2. We wanted a game that really, like, the game that mattered. So we picked this one. And they drove 7 hours, and they saw that.
That's like 3 tanks of gas.
And you know what they did after? They drove home. They drove home. I refuse to believe you. You told me that. That meant they got home at 5 this morning. And so these guys came all the way in. Hardcore fans. And it's not that the Leafs lost. It's that they lost like losers lose. It's not that they lost. It's never that they lost. It's that they lose, and it is a 10 out of 10 Academy Award performance for a tragedy. It's Shakespearean. It's unbelievable. You couldn't write it. Maddie was like, Maddie said something about, like, oh, maybe it's, like, jokingly about the league being rigged. And I'm like, even if the league wrote a script, nobody could convincingly write this script and go, yeah, the public will buy that.
No, like 2018, you're winning in the third period of Game 7. You give up like 4 goals. Is that normal or Leafy?
Leafy.
You are up 3-2 against Boston. You blow it at home, and then Game 7, you lose 5-1. Normal or Leafy? Leafy. You have one of the most historic comebacks of all time against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and then
the next game you were terrible
and get shut out. Normal or Leafy? Leafy. 2021, your worst game of the series in a 3-1 choke against Montreal is Game 7. Normal or Leafy?
Leafy.
2022, you lose 2-1 to Tampa. Mostly normal, except for the goal that maybe should have been a goal but didn't get counted as a goal. 2023, I think you just got your supple bottom patted by the Florida Panthers. That was pretty normal. Mm-hmm. It was unfortunate, but normal. Last year, you score the game's first goal to get another third period lead over the Bruins in Game 7 in Boston. You surrender it immediately and then blow it
on
in
a bad
overtime.
play, by the way. They said that play, that Pasternak goal should never have happened.
Nope.
Should never have happened. And the overtime will never.
Nick Robertson seeing Noah Gregor on the ice for his first game of the series and going, yep, I want to trade. And I would say it's on the teetering borderline of normal and leafy, but that's pretty leafy. And then there's whatever the hell they're doing now. There's no team in the world like this. There isn't. The only thing that's even sort of close, and Adam, you would know this better than anyone, the parallels between this series and Edmonton, LA is insane. Edmonton looked like they were going to cause the Oilers to rebuild.
Yeah.
And Oilers won 4 straight.
You know
No,
why?
remember Adam streamed Montreal, Washington.
Yeah. It was terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
He didn't get
That's
to
because
do.
I was doing Carolina.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you always forget that.
I have to ask, if they're going to win for tomorrow, okay?
Nick Robertson.
Nick Robertson. Like, okay, how much does our show change Saturday? Let's say Matthews and Marner both get hat tricks. What do you say Saturday, guys? By the
Hooray,
way,
they
there's
both
laughter.
got hat tricks.
There's laughter in the
Yeah,
audience.
what?
when
I
they said
know.
that.
I think we'll all be shocked but happy.
No, but we're not.
be
No,
like-
hold on. We're not allowed to cheer for them, though, because we weren't with them in this moment.
This is unprecedented territory. We'll be like, holy Santa Claus shit. Matthews and Marner both get their first career playoff hat tricks in the same game, and they force game 7. And isn't that lovely news?
Mm-hmm.
I think all of our reaction is, isn't that lovely news? And aren't we so happy about it? And there will be a few very dismissible losers who go, well, I was with them the whole time. I don't care. You are not, like, what do our good moods one has to outrank the other? I'm just as happy as you are. Look at how happy I am that they did this. I'll be thrilled.
So,
I think they're gonna win Game 6.
you
I
do?
think
You actually do?
I know they're going to
Yeah.
win game
I
6.
see. I don't think that. I want to know why you
the
guys
Leafs,
think they
the
are.
Leafs
2-1.
are the Leafs are a really good road team these playoffs and this regular season. Like they do well on the road. You watch them close out the series in Ottawa after coming after their stinker, and everyone is up in arms about that one, about how the series played out. And then they go to Ottawa and they clean things up. And I think they've done well on the road to stay in games, and I think it's very Leafs to win Game 6, and what they displayed in Game 5 makes me believe they won't win Game number 7.
2-1, Tavares, Lorentz.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. Like that sounds about right for a Game 6, and then you come back Game 7 and it's like 4-0.
5-1.
Or it's either 4-0, 5-1, or it's 2-1 in overtime.
Oh, God.
Yo, Game 7 overtime in Toronto.
Yeah.
When was the last time that happened?
We haven't had home ice very much, so not much.
Not a Game 7 in Toronto in overtime.
So what you're saying is you guys are still open to magic happening here.
I think it is a key to life.
Okay.
To always be open to magic.
Now, Jesse's the voice of reason on this show. It seems like he's open to it.
Not really.
You're not open
No,
to it?
I think they're going to win Game 6.
Yeah, but you're not open to magic, though.
What do you mean?
You're not open to a Game 7.
Games, I've always predicted Florida's going to come out in this series. I think they were two good teams going into game number 5. Game 5 changes things based on their performance, but I think the Leafs still are going to play a little looser on the road here, and I think Game 7 is going to be either tight or a blowout, and they drop that one. I'm just trying to predict.
So that's not magic. Jesse is open to the kind of magic where it's like you find $20 in an old coat, or you pull up to a light as soon as it turns green.
Yeah.
Or somebody maybe even pays for your coffee in the Tim Hortons line.
Yeah, that's winning Game 6. And then you don't pass it on to the next person. They'll never know. They'll never know. I'm kidding. It's always, oh yeah, they ordered a Thanksgiving dinner. Thanks, Frank. Winning Game 7, though, that's magic.
Right.
That's the real stuff.
Right.
And I want to believe, as a small business owner of a Canadian sports media company, I badly would like to believe.
Yeah, and there's the idea that what they did over the entire regular season, where they play this low event hockey that works in the playoffs, what they did in like 5 of the games against Ottawa, what they did in games 1 and 2 against Florida, like that could be the true Leafs team. But the evidence in front of us is that was all a mirage.
Yeah.
And they had me fooled for, what is that, the 7 months of hockey, and then it all collapses in probably 2 games ish. Through maybe 2.5 games, that all collapses and comes down. There's no reason to believe in them anymore.
And it's so sad because this round, I've seen people wearing Leaf stuff like I haven't seen since I was a child.
Yeah.
Like just across generations.
Even at my
shirts.
kid's school last night, there's a big chalkboard outside. And when I walked in this morning, there was an enormous Go Leafs Go on it and a bunch of kids who had tried drawing Maple Leafs underneath it. And, and you see kids coming to school with the gear on, right? It sucks. It sucks. It really sucks that way. Now, I have to ask the question, why was the crowd so quiet last night?
Because they were gone.
What could the crowd have done to help the Leafs? Do you understand how condescending it is when people say stuff like that?
Oh.
This is why it drives me nuts from the start of the season. Of course Leaf fans are quiet. Look at what they've been through. Are you kidding me?
They're nervously thinking about all the money they spent on this team that's currently losing 1, 2, 3, nothing. 4, nothing. 5, nothing.
Hey,
6,
and
nothing.
Steve, are the goals going in because the fourth line is just not that? No, it's the first line giving absolute gifts to them.
No, it's the fans.
It's the fans. Yeah, it's always the fans.
It's the fans. And when was the last time you saw jerseys thrown on the ice during a playoff game?
That's brutal.
During a non-elimination playoff game. That's such a statement. And I was saying on the podcast, listen, you get caught, which you're going to get caught by security. Jesse, you would know this answer better than I would. I believe you're banned from all future Leaf games. And if I'm not mistaken, all future events from Scotiabank Arena.
I know Leafs games. I don't know about the Scotiabank Arena one. I'm not sure about that.
Well, it's definitely
I'd have to
Leafs
look it
games.
up, yeah.
And for those people, I'm assuming they know that if they're not completely booze blind.
I think they're a little tipsy.
Right.
Yeah.
But even if they wake up tomorrow and go, damn, I'm banned from all future Leaf games, that might be the most fiscally responsible thing you've done in your adult life. You are now banned from all future 3 and 4 digit disappointments in Scotiabank Arena. Good for you.
Yeah, you saved a lot of money.
You saved untold thousands of dollars. Dude, I knew a bunch of people who were at this game. I know a guy who brought his 5-year-old.
Oh.
And he was trying to make it fun for him. They supposedly they were chanting towards the end of the game, "We want one. We want one." And they got one. Thank you, Nicky Bobby. Thank you. You absolute legend after a healthy scratch. Too funny. And they played Panama.
I'm glad.
Which was so good.
Embarrassing.
I'm glad they broke the streak, the shutout streak from Bobrovsky, because that was going to be the lead in every.
Oh, I know. That would have been exhausting.
Yeah. I'm glad we didn't have to deal with that.
I want to tell you this. So Nick LaFlame, who's like a member of Leafs.
He was
Twitter.
one of the guys who was at the game.
Yeah,
it's a buddy of mine.
So he tweeted out a picture of Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner in Kunlun Red Star jerseys, and that's a KHL team in China. And Kunlun Red Star got back to them.
No.
And said, we're okay with our current roster, not interested in these gentlemen.
And it says, ni hao. Oh my God. Kunlun Red Star said thanks, no thanks.
Yeah. The real Kunlun Red Star account.
The well never runs dry.
No, man. Well, could you blame them?
No.
Insane. So, all right.
Oh my God. I'm so looking forward to my annual email from my first publisher where they go, "Hey, sales for this team is ruining my life spiked. What happened?"
Yeah. So Jesse, Steve, they win the game if they win the game Friday, you saying it's a Tavares Lorentz maybe 2-1, Jess, or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been through that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Low scoring.
I know we've been through it, but I'm reestablishing it.
Last year when they forced 6 in Toronto was low scoring.
Okay.
When they forced 6, 2013, I'm pretty sure it was 2-1. Reimer pitched a gem. It's generally speaking a low scoring forcing of Game 7. So that's what it'll be.
Okay.
Or the Panthers kill them. I don't know.
Do you want to move on to a series with 2 winners?
Oh, man. Yeah.
I'm gonna bring up to James when I see him at Game 7 on Monday that you brought up his article on the show. You didn't read one thing from the article, but you read a comment on his.
The comment was good. It was a good comment.
What does that say about you reading James's words?
I thought James's words elicited a good comment. I think that's a compliment to James. It's better than what you get most of the time, which is just people shitposting.
All
right?
Okay. Which line do Marner and Matthews, who do they play with on Kunlun Red Star? Because there's Tyler Grauvatch, who I believe I thought he was a Marley. Apparently he wasn't. They got Thomas Yurcho. Remember Thomas Yurcho?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, they got him. He could play. Someone named Colin Campbell. I'm sure he's corrupt as hell. Adam Clendenning. Joey Duzak, former Marley. Who do you think they play with? Oh, I got the answer.
Stop.
Kunlun Red Star forward. 7 goals in 27 games. Nail Yakupov.
There you go.
Matthews, Marner, Yakupov.
Be great.
The all top 5 line. That's a real thing.
Hey, Steve, how's that Boston Pizza manifesting going?
Oh, I still got some work to do.
It worked throughout the first round and the first couple of games of the second round.
I mean, the good news is I keep trying pizza and wings.
That's great.
I manifest it to my house.
Hockey is Canada's game, and we need to take it back. And it looks like the Oilers might be the best opportunity to do that. But we are manifesting for all the Jets, the Oilers, and the Leaf fans out there. Because we got 3 teams still in this out of 8. That's pretty good.
Yep.
We were talking even as early as earlier this week that we could potentially get 3 Canadian teams into the Final Four. Can you imagine? That would guarantee somebody makes the finals.
And we know all those Canucks, Habs, Sens, and Flames fans are on board as well.
They're also cheering.
They are cheering. The loudest, actually.
Jesse.
Yeah.
Okay. If the Jets get in, will they win?
Like the Stanley
Cup. Do you believe?
Can I pick the Oilers over them?
Yes, you
Is that
can.
okay?
But I just said if the Jets get in, will they win?
Against who?
It doesn't matter.
The Oilers? I'm picking the
It would
Oilers.
be the Oilers.
If
I'm picking the Oilers.
If the Oilers get in, will they win? Finals.
Yes.
If the Leafs get in, will they win? Finals.
If the Leafs get in
To the finals. Yeah, you think they'll win?
Yeah, totally.
I like that.
No. They'll get there. 2, they'll win, obviously.
Now listen, we can't let this losing streak of no Stanley Cup hit 32 years because that's what we're looking at.
This is great. This is going well.
If we plan it, we will win.ca. Check it out. And also go to your local Boston Pizza just for the best wings and the best pizza out there on game day. As Jim Treliving likes to tweet out, the beer is cold, the pizza is delicious. Enjoy it at Boston Pizza.
That's marketing at its finest.
Isn't he the best? Yeah.
He's the best.
Edmonton and Vegas. Vegas has won a Stanley Cup within recent memory. Edmonton went to Game 7 last year. They faced off in this series, and this game goes directly to overtime. And it was
directly
sort of a surprise because the way Edmonton had dominated and gotten in Aiden Hill's face, like one of the great rivalries from Game 3 of this or Game 4 of this series was Aiden Hill versus Zach Hyman.
Everybody.
Yeah, but he was Binnington everybody. But it was him and Zach Hyman, and then Janmark kind of slew-footed him, tripped him. And then, Evander Kane, one of his line mates scores, and Evander Kane goes diving across the net. I think it was Henrique that scored. And Evander Kane goes diving across the net and catches Aiden Hill, and Aiden Hill loses his mind. And I don't blame him for that, by the way. Last night, Aiden Hill dialed Stuart Skinner, who was objectively, statistically, the worst goaltender or the second worst goaltender other than Dan Cloutier of the last 25 years. Unplayable, but has played more than 25 playoff games. If you played more than 25 playoff games, the worst save percentage is Dan Cloutier. Above him was Stuart Skinner.
You would have been better with a shooter tutor for the first 3 games he played.
And he was dialed last night, too.
Unbelievable.
He was great.
Unbelievable.
And you know what happened? 2 good teams went head-to-head. It was 0-0. All the way through the stream that I had, people were like, this is the most entertaining 0-0 game I've ever seen in my life.
Right? Isn't that nice?
It was crazy because sometimes they would cheat for offense, and then other times they would back off cheating for offense, and there'd be rushes both ways. It was amazing.
Rush. Oh, McDavid.
Yeah.
Oh,
Leon Draisaitl.
Oh, no.
Hey, you know what I kept hearing come up? Draisaitl, McDavid, Hyman, Draisaitl, McDavid, Hyman, Kane. Nugent Hopkins. You're seeing the guys who were supposed to do it.
Were the Oilers commentators like, oh, McDavid and Draisaitl don't have it again? No, was that not a comment?
They didn't say that.
No?
They did say Jack Eichel, who looked dangerous all series. Him, Hurdle, and I think like Dorofeyev all had great series, but could not convert. Just couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
That's sadly the story. I thought Jack Eichel was amazing.
They didn't have Stone, right?
No, not last game, no.
When that injury report comes out, I think it's going to be heinous.
Yeah. He just was not good.
For Mark Stone to not play in that game.
But this is how, you remember how I said when the Leafs lose, they lose like losers? Vegas is going to have major changes this offseason because Vegas didn't get past the second round and their management group's like, no, we don't accept that here.
They went down like Halo Reach.
They fought and fought and fought till the end. Because guess what? They all want to stay there because it's great to play there. And it's a great dressing room to be a part of, and they have set a standard, and they went below their standard. William Karlsson said after the game last night, it feels like we wasted a year. That's a guy who's been there since game one, who's like, this is not good enough. And I can guarantee you, their management's going to make some bonkers-ass trade this offseason, and Mitch Marner will be a Golden Knight or something like that. It's going to be nuts.
Probably.
But when I look at how they went down, I go, even though they won one game in this series, guys, and Edmonton was objectively the better team all the way through, they went down fighting. They went down, as Jesse said, trying to play their game. Edmonton just played Edmonton's game way better.
The fact that Edmonton can shut it down now, I thought it was very funny that McDavid got pissy after, and he was mad about, the questions about the Oilers defending. I mean, it's funny. They get better as the playoffs go. They are like the anti-Leafs, and the friggin' Kings let the whole hockey world down. Like, I'm going to keep going back to it because they had a chance to slay the beast. They had a chance to slay the dragon.
We heard that before.
Oh, I know.
Kings East or Kings West.
Oh, my God. And now I just have a hard time placing them anywhere but the Stanley Cup final. How do you look? I mean,
Dallas is going to be unbelievable.
Dallas is one game away still. The Jets, you never know, but I mean, that is going to be an absurd Western final. And yet, isn't it last year's Western final? And who won?
Edmonton.
I think Dallas is better than they were last year. I thought the Kings were too. It didn't matter. It didn't friggin' matter. So,
but doesn't it say something about the Golden Knights' level within the dressing room and their management staff?
It's just a different standard.
That they go, hey, one win in the second round, and I know they're going to do this. This is not good enough.
It's a room full of adults. It's a room full of adults with a high expectation, and they're not satisfied. Pietrangelo has 2 cups with 2 different teams, right?
Yeah. He was a monster last night.
Not enough.
Hey, you know who was great on defense? Evan Bouchard. This entire series.
Man, let's give
game.
Evan Bouchard his flowers.
Every game.
He's an interesting player defensively. I still stand by that. I don't think we ever picked on him unfairly. He always steps his game up in the playoffs, and offensively is one of the most prolific offensive defensemen of his generation.
His shot's crazy.
His shot is crazy. Who is a better playoff defenseman over the last half decade or so? I think the list is Makar and end of list. And you could argue maybe not. Like, you could argue Bouchard's 1. Who's better? The guy, he gets like 2 points a game.
Yep. Yeah. And Darnell Nurse, who doesn't get a lot of points, has played great too.
And he elevates too. Another guy who wasn't very good at the beginning decided, I'm guy who hits everyone now. And, oh man, we're criticizing his game. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. They're in the final. You know what? You get to the final, I think there's some good elements to
But
your
whose
game.
name is on the scoring sheet every time the Oilers win?
Who?
McDavid
and Draisaitl. Even in their bad games. Man, they looked off tonight. 2 primary assists.
We'd be like, 2 primary assists? That sounds amazing. Give us some of that.
Complete embarrassment of riches.
But they work
greatness.
for it. They work for it.
They work for it. They always look exhausted. They earn it. They earn it. They earn it. They earn it. The Leafs have too much moisture left in their body for tears at the end of their games, whereas every other team just looks so spent. I don't know how you teach that. I don't know how you teach that drive. I don't know how you develop that thing that Sidney Crosby has. Sidney Crosby could be doing anything right now. He could be having rum and cokes at the lower deck in Halifax. And instead, he's in Europe at the World Hockey Championship because he loves it and wants to win. Canada might not lose a period, let alone a game.
And he's playing with McKinnon and Celebrini. What a line.
With the all first overall pick line across generations, he could be doing anything in the world. I'm sure his tired body would... It's not tired, though, because he's conditioned it to be the most animalistic machine in the sport. Oh, I know we're making it about the Leafs, but
I think there's a direct comparison here.
We're in the final 8. There's 8 teams left, and I look and I see greatness in all the other teams. A greatness that eludes the one that we're always cheering for.
Jesse, if Edmonton gets through, do you agree with Steve that, well, not if Edmonton gets through, if Dallas gets through, do you agree with Steve that Edmonton are still the favorite?
I would agree with that because I look at last year's Western Conference Final, as you mentioned, and like Stuart Skinner has become kind of the X factor here.
Oh, God.
His back-to-back shutouts. Last year, if you go back to how they closed out the series, they lost the games 2 and 3. And then they ended up winning it in 6 with a 5-2 victory, a 3-1 victory, and a 2-1 victory. And that 1-1 and 2 is Stuart Skinner and the great defense around the Edmonton Oilers. He turns it on when the pressure is at its highest. You shouldn't play him in games 1 through 3. Like, that should be Edmonton's strategy, is we play Pickard games 1 through 3. We put Stuart Skinner in there the rest of the series because he's going to get 4 straight shutouts. Because like, when things are at their height, the dude is one of the best goaltenders in the league. And he proves that time and time again in these elimination games and his elimination game numbers. And it's a testament to the defense that Chris Knobloch has, his team playing in front of Stuart Skinner. But he also like is a great goaltender in these moments.
And as good as Stuart Skinner was, who was bringing the offense in those low-scoring elimination games? It was Connor McDavid dousing Miro Heiskanen in gasoline and lighting him on fire and then stomping him out and then lighting him on fire again. Like, that's one of the best defensemen in the NHL. And McDavid made him look like a scarecrow.
Is Mikko Rantanen a big X factor, though? Like, is that's something Dallas didn't have last year, guys?
They didn't have him. They didn't have Granlund. And, oh, Lord help the Oilers if it goes to Game 7 because the Stars have Cody Ceci.
That's right. Game 7 hero.
Yeah, Daddy plays for the other team now, baby.
I'm still picking the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, I think on paper it's Dallas. But if you are scarred from watching the dumb sport that is hockey, you pick the Oilers, and I'm that scarred person.
Yeah, and that's not to discredit the Dallas Stars. Like, I think they are the deepest team on paper.
Yeah.
But like the games aren't played on paper, and I think the Oilers have this weird X factor where they can pull out any kind of victory.
Yeah, no, you know what? I saw the Oilers beat this team last year, but they're better this year, so I'm picking them. Nope. Learned my lesson. Not doing it. Learned my lesson from the first round. Not doing it. Sorry, Dallas.
The other thing that Dallas has done, and I think this is why they're going to get through, is they figured out Connor Hellebuyck. Every Granlund goal.
Shoot?
No, not just shoot. Shoot glove side. All of those goals are glove side.
They're just standard wrist shots, all of them.
They are. And so Connor Hellebuyck has allowed 11 goals this postseason from 30 feet out.
Oy vey. Wow.
Yeah.
Not great.
Going into the loss the other night, he had, and this is just a reminder because I brought this up on the last show, 0-8 record, 583 goals against average, 827. That's his last 8 games on the road, and then make it 0-9 now. I think his save percentage might be a little bit better because he only let in like 3 goals.
What's a bit better? Playable?
835, something like that, probably.
I think the Connor Hellebuck numbers are a little misconstrued if you're not watching some of these games, because the 30 feet number you brought up yesterday in the pre-stream, and I tried to explain, like, you don't just score 30 feet on an NHL goaltender if you're shooting at the goaltender.
Right.
You're only scoring from 30 feet out if there's a bunch of bodies in front. And the Winnipeg Jets aren't doing a great job in blocking out the front of the net in front of Connor Hellebuck. If he can't see a puck, he can't save it.
They don't have a big enough decor.
No, and they're not playing well enough. And
They move the puck super well, but
Dallas is able to do what they want offensively right now, and that's get a lot of people in front of the net, and Connor Hellebuck can make it difficult on him and score these long-range shots. But if you look at when those goals were scored, a lot of it's just because the Winnipeg Jets can't stop the Dallas Stars power play. 4 of 8 shots on the power play have gone in for the Dallas Stars. Hellebuck's save percentage in this series is actually better than Ottinger's at 5-on-5.
wow.
It's that Ottinger has stopped 23 of 24 shots on special teams.
And it always comes down to that, doesn't it?
Like
It does.
I don't think this is all on Hellebuck. It's team defense for the Winnipeg Jets has gone out the window. Mm-hmm. And they're not able to play a fast enough game to outscore their problems like the otherworldly Edmonton Oilers are.
Yeah.
And they're getting beat by a superior team who's able to play their game right now. I think Pete DeBoer is just out-coaching Scott Arniel in every single facet of this game.
I think he has the horses to do it. But
yes.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of both. He's got better guys, and he's a better coach right now, and he's putting him in a box and doing a full spin. Like, it's not close.
Every single division winner in the next couple of days is facing elimination. Every single one.
Crazy.
Washington, Toronto, Winnipeg, and obviously we saw Vegas go down. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Now, moving on to, unless you guys have more to add to the Jets and Stars series, I think this is just about done.
Oh, do the Jets have another comeback in them?
Maybe.
We'll see.
Carolina, Washington. Heat Daddy did a stream where he slept through this entire game and 81,000 people watched it. Because this series is really boring. But if the series is boring, to Jesse's credit, like to what Jesse said earlier in the podcast today, that means Carolina's playing their game.
Oh, 100%.
I think I said that yesterday.
You said it yesterday too. You said it earlier today too.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You said whatever team plays their game better, right? And Carolina's playing their game better.
Right.
Washington is not in this series. Not in. Not even a little.
I said Tom Wilson needs to make his presence felt, and he tried to do the skull clap, the storm surge clap at the Hurricanes bench, and I was just like, cringe-aholic. That is all you've got?
You gotta hit somebody.
That should count as a loss. Like the series should be over because of that. That's all you have? Good Lord, just let the Hurricanes move on and be done with it if that's all you got. Surely the Capitals have more in their tank than this.
They look like a really good team all year.
The Hurricanes are probably the most disrespected team in the NHL.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's the Florida Panthers.
No.
Like how dare anybody pick the Tampa Bay Lightning?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
The Florida Panthers are the Stanley Cup champions.
We didn't know that they were healthy, though. It was health.
Oh my God, I picked the Tampa Bay Lightning, too. Like, I'm in this.
Yeah.
How did we think that they were going to lose that series?
I honestly think it was health. That's what I was saying. There was,
not making that mistake again.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not making that mistake again.
Carolina's second.
But, like, now that Florida murdered the Lightning, we have adjusted to be like, oh, they're the champs. This is greatness. Like, they're going to be really difficult to knock off. And turns out you might not be able to do it. But now there's Carolina, who's just sort of been consistently winning. And the whole time we've been going, yawn, yawn, don't care. And they're a win away from being one of the final 4 teams with a chance at redemption against those Florida Panthers.
It was hard to have a lot of takeaways out of the New Jersey Devils series that they just cleaned up and they played quickly. I think it was 5 games. It was an easy series for them, and the Devils were hurt, and now they're like turning over their whole roster. So it's a weird Devils team that they beat up, and then now you get to this Washington series, and you're like, okay, here's a real chance. But then we look at the Washington Capitals now, and we say, you know what, their regular season, what they did there doesn't really matter. They're getting dominated here.
I wasn't overly sold on them before the playoffs began.
No,
I can't. I have a hard time putting my finger on it. Logan Thompson's regular season numbers were so goofy, and he's just been disappointing.
Mhm.
I don't really know what it is, but Rod the Bod, man.
Yeah.
Rod the Bod. It's a good coach.
Taylor Hall was interviewed this morning. He actually said that's why he signed the extensions, because he just wanted to stay playing under Rod Whittemore for 3 more years.
Yeah, it wasn't the 10 million.
Well, 10 million helps, I think.
Yeah, I think it might have been the 10 million there, Taylor. Yeah, he's had a funny career, that Taylor Hall.
He has.
First overall pick, 2010. Is he old now?
Yeah.
Are we old?
Yeah.
This sucks.
I know.
How long was the Caps Canadian series, Adam?
5 games.
It was 5 games? Oh, okay. I was going to say
5 games.
I was going to say
Five?
if it was 6, I was going to think about like how much trouble did they have with Montreal, and do we have to rethink Capitals and Montreal on that based on how this played out? But I think they kind of took care of business.
Yeah,
Well,
they
when
did.
when
They
the
did.
Habs made it 2-1, like there wasn't game 4 tight?
It was, but I think
but it's
Washington
tight
was
and close.
always the better team. They were always
Yeah.
the more and the
I see,
Habs
okay.
fans got on me because they're like, how come you keep calling Washington the more talented team? I'm like, because they are.
They won the division, and you are the
and they're
second
like, but
wild
we have
card.
Lane Hudson, and I'm like, yes, and they have John Carlson and Jake Chikrin.
Jane-
and by the way, both in the prime of their careers.
Lane-
I'm sorry,
Lane Hudson is one person.
and he's great. He's great. And like, David Savard, I liked calling him Treebeard from Lord of the Rings. He put his best out there. Whatever. But like, if I'm looking at what team I'd rather have right now for these playoffs, if we're talking 5 years from now, sure, I'll take the Montreal Canadiens roster.
Oh my God.
But right now, it'd be the Caps, and they were the better team the whole time.
This shouldn't even be controversial.
And the series ended when Tom Wilson ran over Alex Carrier. That's when it was over.
Yeah.
It was done. Montreal didn't have a response to that. They'll figure it out. Washington, people have been saying they're a bit of a paper tiger. There have been analytics guys who have been hinting at that all season. I don't know if I see that. I just see a Canes team that's better in the playoffs and lost enough in the second and third rounds to go, we're not doing it this time.
You gotta be worried about teams that stockpile wins in October and November.
Yes.
The Winnipeg Jets started the season winning 14 of 15 games. And then
that's
now they're going to
crazy.
go out in the second round.
The rare President's Trophy winner, like to just grab first place and hold it for basically the whole year.
The entire season,
Yeah.
it was because of a great fall, and they kind of just rode that all season long, right? And the Washington Capitals, too, they were off to an unbelievable start. And
Never
I
really
wouldn't-
dipped.
I wouldn't say they'd tail off during the back half, but like their second half wasn't as great. I actually have the numbers here for the regular season.
I still think the
Capitals-
Ovi chase made it sort of weird at the end. Like, how do you focus?
right.
How do you dial? How do you go, yeah, we got to make sure we're all playing our best, most disciplined hockey when you're all looking for one guy?
The last 31 games of the season for the Washington Capitals, they went 17, 11, and 3. That's
pretty
37 points. That's 13th most points from that point onwards. It's not great.
No,
but
it's not.
Fine.
It's like, okay.
It's mid, yeah.
But this is a team that won the Eastern Conference based on the things that happened before the last 31
Was Carolina's.
games there in the season. Carolina, that same stretch, 15, 14, and 1.
Oh, wow. Also mid. Even
Also
more mid.
But that's not a team that we looked at and were like, okay,
No.
look how high up they are.
Yeah.
Carolina just kind of play Carolina Hurricanes hockey, and they've
Who's
done that
first? I'd love to
consistently.
know.
That is the Los Angeles Kings from February 1st.
And who's second,
onwards.
Jesse?
The Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, get lost! Existence is pain.
I don't think like taking anything from the regular season. It's a moot point.
It is.
I feel like we've been through this enough years and we see enough hockey. None of this stuff matters during the regular season. It's all about these teams and how they're assembled. And the Florida Panthers tanked their last 2 months of the season based on injuries, and look at them now. The Edmonton Oilers, all regular season long, nobody believed in the Edmonton Oilers, and look where they're at now. Like, it's so irrelevant, any of these numbers here.
Proposition. The preseason's too long. We keep talking about make it 3 games, make it 2. None.
No preseason.
None. It's
yeah.
0 games. Dude, training camp and intra-squad games, it's 82 games of preseason, guys.
Yeah.
It's 82 games. That's so many games. Just go straight into the season.
Yep.
Yeah, the goal now for these top teams is just get into the tournament, get into the 16-team tournament, and then start playing hockey. And the smart teams look at it that way, and they're not spending fuel in the regular season anymore because it doesn't matter. None of these regular season numbers matters, and the Caps are learning that. The Jets are learning that. The Leafs are learning that. It's
how have the Leafs not learned that?
The Kings and
the
Leafs.
Caps, I'm like, okay, you missed a couple of years. Maybe you forgot.
Yeah, Steve, the Kings and the Leafs right there.
The Kings
February
and
1st.
who's third?
The Blues, because remember, they went on like 11-game winning streak, right?
So the Leafs lead that group with 6 wins.
All of the top 5 are out, by the way. All the top 5, top 6, top 7, top 8, top... Yeah, you have to go to number 9. You have to go to number 9 before you get somebody that's still in.
The post Four Nations is probably a better bar. So I'll just move it to February 20th and sort it by that. There you go. So there you go.
Blues,
February
Leafs,
20th
Kings,
onwards.
Here, arrange it maybe by points percentage instead.
Points percentage, sure.
Yeah.
There you go. Points percentage. So points percentage post Four Nations. We got Blues, Leafs, Knights, Canadians, Kings, Avalanche, Sens, Jets, Flames, Lightning, and then at 11th we get the Dallas Stars, who are the only team there that's still in the playoffs.
Well, Jets are still in.
10.
Jets are still in.
Oh,
yeah.
Still
Quote
in.
unquote. Yeah.
The top 10
I
has-
should mention that.
The top 10 has 2 series wins combined.
jeez.
And one of them is from the Leafs. Oh, wait, no, sorry.
Leafs,
3.
Knights?
No, because the Knights won.
Leafs,
3,
Knights,
3.
Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Top 10 teams in the regular season by points percentage from Four Nations onwards are about to be eliminated from the playoffs.
So it's all nonsense. Like, we're like, oh, man, you got to get hot at the right time. You got to do this. You got to do... No, just be the best team and shut up. Oh, my God.
I think they know come, I don't know, end of October, what kind of squad they got and how many needs they need to get in. And I'm sure Florida looked at their roster in August and was like, you know what, just get in next year and we're good.
You got to screen cap that and put it in a folder somewhere because, like, we're
gotta
going to be
read
bringing
this.
that up next year. Where are
We
the
gotta read
Panthers?
this.
They were
they
ass.
tanked 16th. 13,
That's better than I thought.
13, 11, and 1.
Because they were missing
Barely,
Ekblad for
yeah.
20 games,
Wah, wah.
Kachuk for more than that. Kachuk missed all the games.
That's 540 points percentage. That's ugly.
Man.
And
No,
it
guys, are
didn't
we really-
matter even kind
Are
of.
we really going to have to go into an off season again like this? Are we really going to have to do this again?
Here, Jesse, it's okay. I got this one. Yes. Well, maybe not. All the Leafs have to do is beat Florida 2 straight times. We saw them do it.
They have done it.
All that you got to do is do that once a week for 2
They
weeks.
did it last week.
Yep. Do it once a week for 2 weeks. Final
winner.
4.
Let's go.
Final 4.
Let's
Conference championship.
It would be a Leafs. It would be what, a 2002 rematch between the Leafs and Canes?
They'll be competing for a trophy for the first time since 2002. It's not the cup, but yeah. We got applause. Hooray. What's the name of it? The Eastern Conference Trophy.
Nobody knows.
Not a person in the audience knows.
No. Because it
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
The Clarence Campbell.
Clarence Campbell? It better be. I'm checking your work.
What's the West one?
The Valentine Clemens Point
Prince of
Championship.
Wales.
Prince of Wales? I believe you. That sounds right. I'm very distracted. There's a dog
Yeah.
in the audience. And
They should,
They look. No, don't leave. All right.
They should change those names.
They should.
Yeah, they should.
Those are dumb names.
Well, Clarence Campbell was like, I mean, the conference was called the Clarence
No,
Campbell
it's
Conference. wasn't
now
it?
the Colin Campbell Championship.
Yeah, Jesse, if you open up them changing the name, they might change it to somebody like now.
It goes to the team that best represents my son. So right now it's going to go
Gregory
to
Campbell.
Yeah, the Panthers every year until he goes somewhere else.
Moving out of the playoffs and into the teams that are not in the playoffs. Ken Holland is now the official general manager of the Los Angeles Kings, 105-point squad. But much like the Leafs, a bit of a crossroads here because they can't get out of the first round. They keep playing Edmonton. And Ken Holland
Hates the beach.
He's going to be announced on...
Or loves it.
He's going to be announced a little later today, so he'll have a press conference, but we obviously haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And the question is, with LA, you've got Kopitar, you've got Doughty, you've got guys that have been there forever, and then you got some young guys coming up. And they're all still performing. Like, Kopitar is not young,
No.
and he's still performing like he is. where does Ken Holland take these guys? And Jesse and I were talking a little bit on the pre-show about some of the moves he made in Edmonton. And you know what? It was a little better than I can remember. Like Hyman, the Hyman signing, great signing. The Ekholm trade, great trade.
Oh, yeah.
The Duncan Keith trade, I think he made also was actually terrible. But he brought in Evander.
They went to the Final Four regardless.
He brought in Evander Kane,
who's played for them in some very important playoff games.
Traded for Adam Henrique.
That was underratedly very good.
Troy Stetcher they got last year at the deadline too. He's playing games now.
Meh.
These are.
Was he in charge when they got Perry?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Like, listen, I think this could be bad, but it also could be really good. He made some trades for big guys. Now, we're comparing him on a backdrop to Pete Chiarelli, who did a terrible job. But he did bring in a lot of the guys that are making the Oilers special now, with the exception of the main two guys.
With guys like Kopitar and Doughty, I know Penguins fans are going to hate this, but like the way you're protective of never trading Crosby, I think some Kings fans would probably look at it like that for Doughty and Kopitar, who have been lifelong Kings and won cups there. And I think they've both played over 1,000 games in a Kings uniform. But cold logic says if they're open to a trade, you trade the both of them while they're still valuable. Drew Doughty obviously still has value. He was on Team Canada. Kopitar still has value. He still had a pretty good season. If you can truly turn over to the next generation of Kings, I think that would probably be the best thing for them. Otherwise, I'm just not sure what you do other than tinker. You lose 4 straight to the team that your new GM is coming from. I don't know. It feels like something significant is needed, doesn't it? Feels like tinkering wouldn't be enough.
Jesse, one of the things that we always say is if a general manager is bad, you call him and call him and call him. Like, you should be calling Barry Trotz, right?
Yeah.
Do you call Ken Holland?
I would, because it seems the Kings aren't in the most like enviable position because they have a lot of mid-range guys in terms of their age curve. Like, it's a lot of dudes in their early 30s or late 20s or mid 30s, and it's a tough job for Ken Holland. I think there's a lot of tinkering he's going to have to do for the Kings. No, I'm saying like. I don't think Ken Holland is the right guy for that job to do all those things.
I'm sure he's got some like new and fresh ideas.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of getting at here. There's going to be a lot of roster turnover because what they have right now on the surface isn't, I don't think, a Stanley Cup worthy roster. We've seen them lose a whole bunch of times, 4 times in a row. And I feel like there's not enough UFAs where it's just like, we're going to get roster turnover because guys aren't signed anymore. You know, it's going to require a lot of trades and wholesale changes to the roster. And I don't know if Ken Holland's that guy.
Well, what Ken Holland always needs to find success is he needs 2 first ballot Hall of Famers minimum on his roster. And he's got them.
Yep.
Kopitar and Doughty. He had it with McDavid and Draisaitl. He had it, with Lindstrom and whoever. There was like Datsuk and Zetterberg and everybody else.
Whole bunch of guys.
So he's got that. LA is a really interesting one. Like, where can you start with that? The vets don't want to go. So then what? You got a bunch of mid-range guys and you've got, Quentin Byfield. You've got 2 good young defensemen in Brant Clark and Jordan Spence.
Yeah. Here's the best thing they can do. Best thing they can do. If you find yourself in 2nd or 3rd in the Atlantic, either start winning aggressively or losing every game on purpose. You cannot play Edmonton a 5th.
And the Edmonton Oilers have won the division.
Pacific, you mean?
Pacific.
What did I say?
Atlantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other ocean.
They moved LA to the Atlantic.
They're playing the Leafs.
They're playing the Leafs. Sorry, I have a hard time telling them apart this year. The Pacific Division. No, you can't play that damn team. Like, it's funny. Like, are they bad? Like, do you need to blow it up? You play the damn Oilers every year. It's so funny.
Who are better than you.
You.
Like,
so yes, you have to.
Your goal is to be good. Like
the Leafs, man, we just keep running into blah, 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 and we keep complaining about the playoff format. Beat them. Get good. Skill issue.
Yeah.
Jeez. It's every year it's the same thing. Whatever you got to do. I don't think you can do it against McDavid with an aging Kopitar and aging Deneau. You got to do something else.
moving on to Rick Tocchet, who has left the Pacific Division for the Metro. He is now the head coach, and nobody saw this coming, of the Philadelphia Flyers, where he spent the majority of his career. And we were talking a little bit about on the pre-show yesterday, which I highly recommend you tune into. It's a good time. We have fun. And Rick Tocchet is a coach that builds players up. Players love this guy. And after 4 years or 3 years of John Tortorella trying to kick ass and take names, the Philadelphia Flyers really hadn't taken a step forward. Part of that's goaltending. So that's some bad signings by the general manager.
Yeah.
But they still don't have, like, Mitchkov's coming into it. But you had a coach who was like, let me bench this guy. Rick Tocchet feels like a guy who's going to build this guy.
Yes, he needs to surround his young superstar Mitchkov with a solid veteran presence. I think the Flyers need to trade for JT Miller right away.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
No.
Oh, it'd be the story of the offseason. It'd be so good. No, listen, Tocchet, when he started in Vancouver, had really good success. When Vancouver was winning a lot of games, sort of through the fall here, a lot of it was Kevin Lankinen playing really well. And Thatcher Demko, during most of his time under the Canucks with Rick Tocchet, was really good. You show me a good coach, I'll show you a good goalie and all of that. I don't know how Rick Tocchet has a good start out of the blocks with what Philadelphia has. So Philadelphia has to play a winner-take-all game. A billionaire says, you win the Stanley Cup if you win this one game in the middle of July. And you have to play whoever, the current reigning champs. They're no longer the champs. They lose the cup after a month if they lose this one game to you. Who's Philadelphia's starting goalie?
Is it Fedotov at 3.275? Is it Arison at 1.45 or Kolosov at 9.25? Or, hey, Cal Peterson's a UFA. You could always re-sign him.
You're reading their salary.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, here's what he has.
That's actually a really good goals against
those are salaries.
Dude, I guess Urson, but like, holy cow.
Philadelphia pays more for their goaltenders than we do.
That's hilarious.
And they will next year, too.
Still depressing. Like, Tocchet can change the culture and whatever, but there's nothing more deflating and therefore harmful to your culture than a goalie who stinks. So I don't know how you fix that other than firing a money bazooka at some sort of goalie this offseason.
Jake Allen's available.
He sure is.
Oh.
Might be a good fit there because it's stabilizing veteran presence.
Yeah.
He's done that in Montreal. I actually think he might be a good fit.
Yeah. Problem is going to be when Sam Bennett gives him a concussion and he has no problem with it.
Yeah, but they were friends.
They were friends.
They're friends.
Yeah, they're friends.
Adam Foote is now the coach of the Canucks, and you can call this the Quinn Hughes pick because Quinn Hughes was a big Rick Tocchet guy. Rick Tocchet didn't want to be there anymore, so the Canucks said, Quinn, who do you want? We've interviewed these guys, and Quinn was like, yeah, it's Adam Foote. Thanks so much.
They gave it to Adam Foote.
Yes. Now, Adam Foote has an interesting record as a coach. I am kind of surprised by this. I did think that they would go Manny Malhotra. I really did. And he's been an assistant coach with the Vancouver Canucks for 3 years. So he's moving up. But they've been a pretty spotty 3 years. So you're picking somebody within the dressing room. Before that, he was okay as the head coach of the Kelowna Rockets. Junior teams go through spurts. It's hard to really judge. But, this is a guy who's been an assistant since 22, 23, came in with Tocchet when Bruce Boudreau was let go. And I wonder, what do we think is going to be different there? Or is it just a pre-existing relationship where people really like this guy?
I think it's that. They're trying to rock the boat as little as possible here. They didn't want to lose Tocchet, and they did. This is them trying to keep everyone happy, trying to keep everything stable. Like, Bruce Boudreau was head coach of this team not very long ago, right? It's Boudreau and then Tocchet, and that's a lot of turnaround for a team that fancies themselves better than they are. Like, I would believe it if you told me they made the playoffs next year, because for some reason the Canucks fool me every year. You think the Leafs fool me every year. Vancouver Canucks have me in a chokehold that I can't explain. They seem too talented to be as bad as they are. I think you hire Adam Foote, you hire the assistant coach to try to maintain the status quo as much as you humanly can.
Do you think, Jesse, that Adam Foote, being there as long as he has, seeing the best and worst of Elias Pettersson, can bring the best back out? Because he has seen both.
No, that might be a lost cause.
You think so? Wow. It's not just an injury?
Because it's like, how long has this been going on? Eventually, we have to admit that this player isn't the peak of his powers anymore, and they're a little lesser. I think he gets back to something that he was before, like a version of it, but I don't know if he ever gets back to fully what he was. Like, just because he hasn't displayed that in, a year and a half? I think it's been like since going into last postseason, we haven't seen Elias Pettersson really excel as the Pettersson that earned his $11.5 million contract. And maybe now a full off season away from JT Miller will help him out, and a full season away from him, because that was a really driving force around his play on the ice, which I don't think is a good excuse.
I don't think
so.
What
did JT Miller hurt his knee?
Right. So I don't know. I don't know about Pettersson going forward. Like, I wouldn't trade for him if I'm on another team. But like, I think the Vancouver Canucks have organizational problems from the top down that Adam Foote can't solve. I think it starts with Rutherford and how he's running things, and maybe even it starts with Aquilini and how he's running things, and it goes down from there. Like, it's been a mess of a couple of weeks. If you look at just the news stories that come out of Vancouver and the amount of yapping that Rutherford's been doing, and the amount of times he should have put his foot in his mouth talking about these things.
Yeah.
And losing Tocchet when you want him and are like, hey, here's all this money. And the guy's just like, no, I don't want all this money to remain here because it's such a toxic situation. And the way the regular season played out with the Miller and Pettersson drama playing out so publicly. And then the reason JT Miller goes to New York and he's like, yeah, I was just kind of too competitive for them. And that's not what you want out of, that's not what you want the guy to say. Like, that's his side of the coin here, right? Like, it's one side of the story. We don't know how Vancouver, well, we know kind of how Vancouver feels about it too. They thought he was the toxic one and needed to get him out of the room because of what he was doing to the other players in the room.
And then he was the only Ranger trying.
And then I agree with them. If he's toxic and things spread from there, you need to get rid of the thing that's growing the mold or whatever. So I think it's just a very messy situation in Vancouver. I never like a hockey team that has a lot of noise around them.
Yeah.
You never hear good things about teams that have a lot of noise.
And they traded Miller, and it's like the guy they get back is a guy with head injuries, and he immediately gets one.
Man.
Like that the Hedl return on that, for me, is the thing that stings the hardest.
Everything that could have gone wrong did.
But they didn't have to take Hedl back.
No. I mean, it was not a great hit, but not great hits happen in the NHL. I look at this somewhat harshly in the same way that I did with the Flyers acquiring Ryan Ellis. Remember they did that? He played 4 games, looked actually really good in those 4 games, and then he got hurt. I was like, well, yeah, it's Ryan Ellis.
He's good.
He's good, but he gets hurt. Like this, we knew this, man. Like, so it's difficult to have sympathy for the team. You traded for a situation where this might happen, and then it did. With the Canucks, though, like, hopefully Hedl's young enough and the injury isn't serious enough that he comes back. Hopefully Marcus Pettersson. What a nightmare. Hopefully
Why did he sign that extension? He must be going, man, I could have gone to free agency.
What's your name? Jim? Oh, Jim? 2 Jims. 3. Like, holy crap. It's an episode of Shoresy playing it out for 82 games. Shout out to the Vancouver Canucks broadcast crew for that nightmare. But maybe Marcus Pettersson can solidify everything back there. I don't think it's very complicated. Have a solid D-core that can move the puck and defend, get some saves, score some friggin' goals.
Yeah.
Like, if Pettersson shows up, they'll make the playoffs.
If Demko's healthy.
It's such a big if.
Demko was second in Vezina Trophy in the 23-24 season.
Wow.
And then the following season, he plays 23 games and is an 889. And we forget, like, that injury he had during last season's playoffs. Remember how it was so wishy-washy about, like, when could he come back? And people thought he'd be back for the series if they got through the Oilers, you know? And they're like, oh, he could be back anytime.
And he's got some injury to a muscle like no one has ever
It was only a
injured
couple
in the
soccer
NHL?
players that have ever had that injury in terms of sports. Yeah, that was what came out during the offseason leading into training camp. And then he wasn't ready for training camp. And then he eventually got back and played games. And then it was only 23 during the regular season.
Who do you even turn to in those situations? Like, I remember the more I learned about that, going, this sounds very bad, actually. We need to stop talking about him like he's going to be back next week and good. I don't think he can be both those things at the same time.
Right. Pick one.
It's either going to take a while or it take a while and he's going to be okay and we'll see, or he can come back immediately and he's going to stink.
Yeah. So you're kind of happy with your decor. It's just that offense needs a revamp and your goaltending is a question mark.
Jesse talks about noise around the Canucks. They were able to lock up their 11th overall pick, Tom Willander, but the reason they hadn't been able to lock him up before, and by the way, this guy was drafted almost a year ago.
Yeah.
The reason they
11th overall.
they couldn't grab him, they couldn't grab their own draft pick is because they were like, we're not going to give you Schedule A bonuses. And Tom Willander said, cool, then I won't sign. And the Canucks said, well, you're going to capitulate eventually. And what ended up happening was the Canucks capitulated.
Yeah, what a ridiculous line in the sand for them to draw.
Not the 11th overall guy. Things are going so. Here's the thing: if Vancouver has a really good season and they're still in the playoffs today, maybe he does capitulate.
Yeah.
But you put yourself at such a disadvantage in your own chaos that he's looking at you going, "You need me." What if Quinn Hughes goes in a year or two? You need me. You need me.
It was such a ridiculous line in the sand to draw.
And by the way, we were talking about it. Jesse and I were talking about the pre-show. I'm like, give him the Schedule A bonuses. If he hits them, he hits them.
Yeah.
You want him to hit those, though. Why wouldn't you want
I'd love to know what the bonuses are for exactly.
Yeah, because I don't know what they are for defense. I know what they are for forwards.
He had 2 goals in the NCAA this season. Like, are they offensive?
No, I don't think so. It's
Like, and I'm not criticizing him. It's just that's not the kind of defense. It's not the kind of defenseman he is. Like, surely they're not point totals. Are they games played? You know, that's still up to you, eh? Like, I don't understand why they drew that line in the sand and made this such a distraction for a fan base that has been rightfully so just riddled with anxiety for so long. Like, it's like I was saying years ago with Line A and the Jets. Just give Jets fans an answer. Either sign him to an extension now or trade him. Enough. Let's give Canucks fans something to feel good about here, and it cost them a rounding error in their budget books. Good. Get it done. Let's all feel happy. This is a time of year where there are some really good teams with miserable fan bases because they make it to the second round and then they lose. Everyone. But if you miss the playoffs entirely, you can win May. You can win May real easy. You just got to make your fans happy. Sign some college pick. You didn't even have to go out and find someone new. You just had to find your own 11th overall pick and give him a contract that he's willing to sign. So silly.
Lastly, and this is the mistake of all mistakes, and I know you missed it. Lou Lamoriello was spotted in Buffalo, Niagara. People were like, "Is he joining the Sabres?" And I said to Jesse yesterday on the stream, I was like, he was there to renew his Lexus. Nexus.
He was,
I was like, why? And I was going to ask Jesse, like, why do you think he has a Lexus out of Buffalo, Niagara? What's up with that?
I thought you made a mistake just now.
No. He said that.
I said it, and
he
I
legitimately thought that
I was like,
Lou was there for a Lexus.
I read one tweet, and I was like, well, there it is, boom. And then
he got on a plane to get a Lexus in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah. And then I'd be like, no.
Nexus, yes.
Nexus.
Yeah.
The thing you'd renew for crossing the border.
It's kind of insane he had to go all the way to Buffalo to renew.
It's probably just the office where he got it done. That's one of the major
or he had to do it in Canada, so he crossed the border there to do it. It's probably maybe closest for him, you know?
One time
Buffalo or something, I don't know.
One time my father-in-law got pulled over there for extra questioning, and he's not from Canada, he's a Canadian citizen, but he's from Scotland. And they're like, "Where are you from?" He goes, "Scotland." And they're like, "What's that, a country?" Yeah, best and brightest over there. Best and brightest working at the Nexus office.
What's that, a country?
Yeah.
Wow.
Scotland.
Ought to know that, I think. Anyway, I think that's it for NHL news. Do we want to do
with Willander? You're asking about his bonuses. You want to know what they were?
Sure.
He has $500,000 worth of possible Schedule A bonuses in year 1, $900,000 in year 2, and $1 million in year 3.
Right. But
so if you wanted to know what the Schedule A bonuses could be,
hell yeah,
that they compiled. So Schedule A bonuses are worth $212,000 each to a maximum of $850,000. So for defensemen, you could do 10 goals, 25 assists, 40 points, top 4 in ice time among defensemen, top 3 in plus minus among defensemen, 0.49 points per game, top 2 amongst defensemen on team and block shots, end of season all rookie team, all-star selection, or all-star MVP. So they would have selected from this list here and given that out to him, worth to a tune of $500K.
So I would say he's probably not hitting most of those. And if he does, pay him. That's the cost.
Yeah.
You cheap jerks. Pay him. So jeez, what are you doing?
Yeah, only $500K this year, and then $900 and $1 million. But yeah, they've picked from this list, and they've given him those bonuses. And if he achieves these things, any one of those from the list, that's pretty cool.
And you put your fans through that for nothing.
Yeah.
What a waste of time.
You also put your brand new defensive prospect who you're hoping turns into a great defenseman and wants to play with you for the next 10 years through something.
Yeah, what a silly thing to do, to be like, I'm going to hold the line here on you hitting 25 assists and us giving you $200,000 for that.
He better not lead you in those categories. You have Quinn Hughes, you have Marcus Pettersson, you have Philip Hronik.
These are all...
What are you doing?
These are all like offensive stats, right? There's the block shots thing, but like you have guys to do that. If he's leading your team in goals by a defenseman, like Quinn Hughes must have been out for 82 games.
Yeah.
Like
or traded.
Like who cares? You had a disaster season anyway.
You don't miss the playoffs by making exclusively good decisions.
These little things that the Canucks keep doing and coming up, it just like there's no reason to have confidence in the organization.
Well, I'm just thinking about the draft, guys, and like if
we're at that part.
If you're a drafted player or a player about to be drafted, there are certain teams you're like, hey, it'd be great to be drafted in the NHL. It would be nice if it wasn't those guys, though. And the Canucks for me right now would be one of those guys.
You got to find the right combination of good organization but stinks.
Yes.
And the Canucks, they're
Sharks.
Sharks, I think
Sharks number 1.
Good organization.
Yeah.
Stink. Sorry.
Blackhawks.
But they know.
Blackhawks have a ton of prospects, but I don't know if I'd call them a good org yet.
Yeah.
No.
Do you want Davidson as your boss?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a tough
Only if
one.
you're renegotiating a contract.
See, that's not...
You have him over a barrel at that point.
That's not a great situation.
Why?
Like, ton of prospects, and they stink, and the organization stink. So you're just going to be another brick in the wall there, right?
Yeah.
You know?
But what about the New York Islanders? Because the New York Islanders are talking now like Lou Lamoriello might stick around. Arthur Staple has repeatedly said
but
he might stick around in a quote-unquote advisor
not
role.
in the front office, though. It's the ownership who wants to keep him as an advisor to the owner, which is a way to keep him in the
That is a terrible idea. If you're a general manager,
I advise you to ignore the GM and listen to me.
Why would you want that job?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it ends up not happening. But if the owner, I don't know, if the owner just wants to do something, then they can. But it sounds like it'd be a terrible situation if you have him in a role that's like higher than his previous one and you just fired him. So I don't know how they figure that out.
Kicking him upstairs. I don't get it.
Yeah. Oh, your list of 3 teams you would not want to be drafted to.
Well, let me see who's on the list here.
2025
NHL draft order.
I mean, Sabres.
That's a good one.
I mean, can I put them second and third also?
Okay,
so Sabres are your 1.
So you got Islanders first, Sharks second, Blackhawks third, Utah 4, Predators 5th, Flyers 6th, Bruins 7th, Kraken 8th, Sabres 9, Ducks 10, Penguins 11, Rangers 12, Blue Jackets 13, Canucks 14th, Canadians 15th because they got that via a Calgary trade.
I probably go... Sorry, Adam. Let me
look at it. It's all good.
Yeah. I need my cheat sheet here. Are the Ducks still in that conversation?
No.
No?
If Greg Cronin was the coach, then yes. But they've got one of the best goaltending tandems in the league and a great young core. I actually think the Ducks are challenging for a playoff spot next year.
Can the Penguins make that list even though we know they're going to be bad for like a little while longer, you still might get to play with Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
And
I think they're bad at work.
This is the teams you don't want to be drafted.
Yeah,
to.
Steve's going to
going through the.
Steve's
going to
list all the ones he wants to.
You can't go through all 16.
I'll give you mine right now.
No, because I was saying, oh, the Penguins. Oh no, actually, here's why they're not on the list. So Sabres are number 1.
Okay, Sabres are your 1.
Yeah.
What's your 2?
Probably Chicago, just for the way everything's going for them.
What's your 3?
Honestly,
I'm looking at the Red Wings.
I would say the Red Wings, dude. Red Wings stink.
I don't want to go to that team.
Red Wings
now.
or Islanders, honestly.
Adam, who are your 3?
I would for sure start with just based in order. Like no thanks to the Blackhawks. I would also put the Preds on that list until Barry Trotz proves otherwise. That guy, he doesn't like young players.
There's that.
He traded Tomasino, Carrier, and who else? There was another guy.
Too many guys with Italian names.
He traded all the Italians off the team.
Anti-Italian discrimination.
I would say I don't like the Preds very much.
The Bridgeport Islanders have been so sad sack too.
Your 1 is Blackhawks, 2 Predators.
Yeah, and then 3 is Sabres, and I would put a special mention for the Canucks too. I wouldn't want to go there, but but being rich in Vancouver is awesome. I hear it.
That's true.
If I got drafted by the Sabres, I'd be like, chat, do I suck? You know?
No. You won't suck until you'll suck until you get traded to the next team where you'll win a cup.
Yeah. Got it. Oh,
we didn't make enough big deal about this when we did the draft lottery stream, but the Sabres picking 9th is egregious. They've been bad for 13 years. How are they still picking 9th?
Well, the fact that they're not picking higher.
Yeah.
It's
like they're in the mid pack. Like they should be at the bottom or they should not be in this.
Yes.
They're about to get the best player just because you said that. They're about to get the best player in a generation.
At 9.
Eichel times Reinhart.
And I can't wait for them to trade into Vegas.
Properly. Like oh gosh.
They're bad. They're bad.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, press conference?
Oh, no, we're all good.
Oh, we're wrapping. All right. Wrapping up.
Yeah.
All right, we will be back Saturday after Game 6, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Woo!
And then it'll be that show will be our Game 7 preview.
So pre-show and watch along tomorrow starts just after 7. Obviously, the game is at 8, so we will see you then.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.